as she talks about life. Everyday people just trying to make it through life. Keep it 100 with Michelle as she talks about life.
So, good evening, and welcome to another segment of Keep It 100 with Michelle A. and Tish.
Hey, everybody. It's your girl, Tish. What's up? What's up? What's up? I hope you guys are ready. We have some amazing survivors on tonight. I hope you guys are ready.
Oh, you stopped talking as soon as I was going to drink my tea.
Michelle. We just want to welcome you guys. Please share the video. And remember, Michelle has merchandise. Continue to support and check out her website for Keeping It 100. We need your support. This will not happen if you guys, we appreciate it, but we need your help. We need your money. So please support. We have t-shirts. We have sweatshirts. Please check it out. Beautiful merchandise, guys. Look at her shirt. Is she beautiful tonight?
Oh, girl, listen, I was going to beat COVID-19. Then COVID-19 got nothing on me. So listen, Tish, I want to stop and say thank you so very much for being an amazing co-host. And thank you for just jumping in when I needed you. That that static right there, that takes me left field every single time. But I want to say thank you for everything that you do. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you just jumping in and supporting and helping. So listen, and we get so many inbox messages about people who are viewing the show and they love Tish. Especially Miss Linda, where is Tish? So I just want to stop and I wanted to appreciate you and just tell you I thank you so very much for jumping in. This is Keep It 100, but you co-host with me on Girls Talk. And listen, if you guys have not viewed or watched Girls Talk, listen.
You gotta watch it.
You gotta watch it. I would say those people who aren't super churchy, listen, because we talk about anything. So I just wanted to say thank you for doing that. So on tonight, we have some amazing ladies, like she just said, and I'm super excited to hear their testimonies, to hear their stories. All month long, we have had some phenomenal women, and they rocked. I'm telling you, each and every one of them, everybody's story was different, but their victory and their outcome was all the same. Like God's healing power was amazing. So we're going to give these ladies opportunity on tonight to just come up and to just share their story. And Tish, pray for me because, girl, this noise is it's taking me out.
It's not going to take us out. We rebuke those spirits right now in the name of Jesus. Any interruption. We just want y'all to share. Please share the video. Please put your comments at the bottom. Let these ladies know how amazing that they are. Let them know that, God can do all things. But you can put up some good scriptures for them, even in their dark time or whenever. We thank you guys for your support. But share.
Yeah. So you ladies that are watching about to come up, also make sure that you share with your community. Because listen, it might be a woman out there too that is struggling, that's going through this and don't know which way to turn. And they may not have the boldness, or they may not even have the support to be able to share their story in the middle of the process. Breast cancer to some people is embarrassing. Some people don't want to let people know that they are going through this illness. But listen, make sure that you get yourself a good support team. And when your head goes down, make sure you got somebody like a Tish that'll lift your head up. Come on, girl, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this. So we want to bring up at this moment, we're gonna go ahead, we'll bring up Alicia to the platform. And I will try to work on this static. All right. So good evening, and welcome to the show. Just let everybody know you can unmute yourself, and let everybody know who you are and where you're from. You look beautiful.
Thank you, guys, beautiful queens, and you guys are beautiful as well. And I'm really excited to be on this platform with you, amazing ladies, to share my story and my journey. So I'm Alicia. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. Lost the accent on purpose. Was born and raised there. I am married to my amazing purpose partner, Randolph Potter, aka DJ Randy P, the positive one. I am a breast cancer survivor since 2011, so 9 years. In March will make 10 years. And I have two amazing young adult children, Caleb and Soraya, who are both in college. They are sophomores and juniors. And I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I live in Del Mar, Maryland.
Super excited, and you've got a lot going on. Let me ask you this before we get started. So just let everybody know what it is that you do on the side. Like you really are your I want to make sure that people hear this, because you are an amazing woman. So share that with everybody.
So sweet. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So who I am is I practice real estate. It was a lifelong dream of mine to do, from going through a divorce when my youngest was in my belly and my oldest was on my hip 20 years ago, exactly 20 years ago. And God blessed us to go from homeless to homeowner. That's the short version of the story. During the Great Recession in 2008, during my last year of grad school, while I was working on my master's in counseling, we became homeless. And so that was really the inspiration and the impetus for me, be inspiring to want to help other people, embrace the dream and accomplish the dream of homeownership. So I've been doing that for the last 3 years. My background, however, is in education. I have over 20 years experience in education, and couple that with human services experience and having started my own nonprofit organization back in 2008. So I'm the founder of Empowered Women Ministries. And we are an international organization that helps single women break cycles of unhealthy relationships, lead emotionally healthy lifestyles, and live their purpose. So that's who I am in a nutshell. My purpose is to help people turn their pain into purpose. That's why I exist.
Girl, you are awesome. You're amazing. And thank you for surviving your story. So listen, Tish, you have anything you want to say to her before we let her loose?
Nope. I'll wait till later.
Okay, so we want you to take your liberty. Our platform is your platform. I want you to be this is a very transparent show. Like I said earlier, there may be thousands of women that are out there who are struggling and don't have the boldness to share their story, or I'll say to share their truth. Or they may not even have a spot or place. They may think what they're going through, nobody understands. So that's why we're giving you women our platform, so that you can share and encourage someone else. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let you rip it.
Awesome. Now you're going to have to give me a time limit. And I'm going to honor that time limit. So what, about 10 minutes?
So actually, well, we've got other women that are up here. Just kind of, you just don't be too long, but you're good.
Just want to really honor the time. So as I shared, I am a 9-year breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer when I was 36 years old. And I'm going to repost my whole story on my Facebook page, so that, because there won't be enough time for me to kind of really walk you through every intricate moment. But would love for you to go back and read it. I'll reshare it on my Facebook page. But I was diagnosed at 36 years old. And story for me goes is that, honestly, there's no breast cancer history in my family. And so it definitely was a journey where my personal experience from that is that, God handpicked me to know him as a healer. Well, not just as a healer, but as someone who was still working miracles. And that's really my story. So I was sitting at a workshop a year before the diagnosis. And there was some nurses there. It was a very practical workshop at my former church for women. And we were talking about health and wellness. And to make a long story short, we had a segment about breast cancer and how to, identify when there are abnormalities in your breast. And so there were not real, but there were prosthetic breasts that we could feel and touch. And the nurse said, when you feel that rock-like feeling, like it feels like a pebble, that's not normal. And really the encouragement for us was to just be cognizant of doing our own breast examinations. And so from that workshop, I made it a practice to, whenever I was in the shower, whenever I could remember, to do these breast examinations. And so one day, I felt that pebble that I felt in that prosthetic breast that the lady said was not normal. And I remember the horror that went through my thought process when I felt that pebble. And it was right here, right? So that looks like my armpit, correct? That's because it is my armpit. Well, what we learned in that class is that your breast encompasses this whole area here. So including your parts of your collarbone into the armpit is really your breast area. And so I stood in the mirror, and a lot of thoughts flooded my mind. My organization was in the process. We were planning our huge annual event. And so kind of like what women do when we encounter trauma is we try to just push it in our subconscious and get real busy. And so that's what I did. I was like, the blood of Jesus. I literally put some oil on it and got real busy. Yet I still actually had an appointment already set with my OBGYN. So he felt the lump and he was like, do you have breast cancer in your family? I said, no. He said, well, I don't think it's anything. He said, I'm going to send you to a general surgeon. I'm going to send you for a mammogram and we'll just go from there. But I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's a big deal. So I went on with life. I had the mammogram. I got the phone call that the mammogram was abnormal, and more horror, right? More trauma. Just as a backstory, my mother's best friend died of breast cancer when I was young. And so I remember how devastating that was to my mother and me, and seeing, my mom grieve that. So all kinds of thoughts was coming to my mind. I'm like, so I'm not telling anybody because they said it's nothing and I'm saying it's nothing, and ain't nobody got time for all that. Right? So this is someone who had come through divorce, right? Cycles of unhealthy relationships. I'm a depression conqueror. I like to say that. I battled depression for multiple years, was preaching in somebody's pulpit on regular Sundays, popping pills for depression. And so that was kind of one of these moments where I was like, God, not another thing, for real. So to move the story forward, the mammogram was abnormal. And my doctor called me. He was like, but I don't think it's anything. And I'm like, okay, cool. There's nothing. So went to the general surgeon. He feels the lump and he's like, does it hurt? I said, no. He said, well, let's just take it out. So he took it out. And I remember, now still nobody knew. So still had to have an appointment set for day surgery. This is crazy. Nobody knew. And then the day of my surgery, I kind of told my coworker the day before surgery what was getting ready to happen and can she pick me up from the hospital. I was dating my now amazing husband at the time, and it was just bad timing for everything to happen. Like, oh my God, what's getting ready to go on? And so when I came out from the surgery, I was groggy. I could hear the doctor. It sounded like an echo, him saying, we're going to send it to the lab for testing. It's like, sounded like an echo. And I went on with my life. On December 29th, 2010 was my follow-up visit to get what I thought was the stitches pulled out of my wound. Still nobody knew what was going on. And when I walked into the room and sat down in the empty chair in the empty room, the doctor walks in. He sits in his chair and swivels his back to me, opens up the file and said, so the lump had a small cancer in it, about 1/8 of a centimeter. Then he turned around to me and he said, but you already knew that, right? He turns back around in the swivel chair and says, so we need to get you to the cancer doctor. He starts talking really fast. We need to get you another surgery to see if it spreads to the lymph nodes. And then he walks out the room. I'm going to send my nurse in. He's at the door, okay? The threshold of the door. I'm going to send my nurse back in to take your stitches out. And he walks away. Can you imagine that being how you got diagnosed with a terminal illness? And so I was devastated. I can't explain the emotions that ran through my mind. I am now texting everybody that I should have been told that this was going on. My mom, my best friend, my elder from a minister at my church who was a nurse in Johns Hopkins Cancer Center. I'm texting her like, I don't know what just happened. I don't know what he just said. They're saying this, they're saying that. He didn't come back and give me any information. So she texts me, my nurse friend, and said, Alicia, ask them what type of cancer it is. And so and so the lady comes in, she's taking out my stitches. She's like, I know you didn't want to hear this news today. And I still was confused. Like, he said the lump had cancer in it. Do I have cancer? So it was just very confusing. He came back with one foot in the door, one foot out to answer the question about what type of cancer is it. And that was trauma, right? So my story goes that after I left there, I picked up my kids from I don't remember where. I dropped them off at I don't remember where. And I went to Bob Evans, my favorite restaurant at the time, ordered my favorite meal with the glazed carrots and the turkey and the stuffing, and cried big bullet tears in that plate because I felt like, God, enough. Like, and I feel tears sharing this. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get all emotional. But I'm like, haven't I proven to you enough? Like, the depression, enough. 9 years of that, the homelessness, the divorce, raising my kids on my own, like giving birth to my youngest child without her father in the room because he refused to come to the hospital. Enough. Like, I never left you. Like, I showed you that I'm still here. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I believe you can do anything. You can move mountains. I don't need any more faith tests. So that was my moment. And then it was, when we hear the word cancer, we think death. We associate cancer with dying. So I was like, who's going to raise my kids, who were 9 and 10 at the time? Who's going to raise my kids? Well, we associate cancer with the worst possible case scenario. And I'm sure all the women on this show tonight will have a different story from one another. And so this is just my story. So I'm saying, I'm going to get married with one breast. How's that looking? I'm going to have to break up with my boyfriend, way too much emotion. And so the Lord gave me favor, and my nurse friend got me into Johns Hopkins in a week, because that doctor that did whatever he did that was crazy, my mom was like, you are not going back to him, and they are not touching you. And so, really, what happened from that point was, the medical part of it, really just getting educated, sitting down with those team of doctors, as they share with me, all the possibilities. This could happen, that could happen, we could do this or that. And my journey took many different phases in my thought process, right? So the thought process, I'm dying, who's going to take care of my kids, to wait a minute, my assignment is not over in the earth. And so, okay, Lord, here I am. I'm going to wipe my tears, and I'm going to ask you, what is the purpose? Because nothing in life happens by chance. It happens because of your purpose. Jeremiah 29:11, Romans 8:28, they all end up running full circles in every part of our lives. So I had to kind of concede to the fact that my life is still not my own. It never will be. And I'm on this earth to show who God is through my life. So God, okay, I know you as the person that can heal me emotionally. I know you as a provider when I was homeless and had nothing, and had 2 degrees and was still on a poverty level. Now I'm going to know you as someone that works miracles. So Lord, I don't want no chemo. I don't want no radiation. Ain't nobody cutting off this breast. That's how this journey is going to go. And so that was really my journey. I ended up matriculating through the healing process by way of having surgeries for them to find out if it spread. It did not spread. Part of me reconciling that this was a faith walk was really immersing myself in the Word of God and positive thinking, sharing with my faith community what I need the prayer to be, because you can share with people what's going on with you, and then they can declare a thing that's different from the outcome that you want. And the outcome I wanted was that when we go in and they look to my lymph nodes, we're going to see this cancer did not spread. What is the language for that in the brochures? I wanted to know. Well, they told me that was a node negative. So the whole faith community, including women all across the country in my prayer groups, we were all praying the same thing. Node negative. Mom, stop crying. I'm not going to die. You're going to pray node negative. And on March 11th, after my surgeries, I drove all the way to Baltimore to hear the doctor tell me node negative. And so I just want to, just leave, kind of my final thought with everybody is that, God knew that was the outcome from the beginning, but I had to walk through that process. And, there are many other women who will have different stories. There are some women that made it out on a different side, right? They made it out on the side where maybe they had to give up a limb. They made it out on a different side where maybe they had to shed some hair, right? Maybe they made it out on a different side where they closed their eyes and went into eternity. But one thing I had learned to help people understand is that no one ever loses this battle to cancer. We all win the battle with cancer by how we fight it. And so that's really what I would like to leave with everybody tonight.
Listen, sis, that was super amazing. I'm sitting here as you're going bit by piece, and I'm just like, oh God, yes, yes, yes. So listen, so before we bring the other women up, what I want to reach out to you, and I want you to talk about the emotional part of it, because we didn't really hear too much about that through the other women. They would hit it and then keep on moving. But I noticed probably about 3 or 4 times you were talking about the emotional part of it. Did you go into depression? Because listen, we Black women, we strong. We can make it through anything. But did you go through the depression part of it?
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent question, and I'm happy to share that it was a multi-layered emotional battle, right? A lot of anger, as I shared with you, before, angry with God, because I'm like, like I said, enough. And I don't remember slipping into the deep depression that I know I had battled in different parts of my life.
Right.
However, I do remember slipping into a deep sense of fear, a deep sense of fear of the unknown. That whole, am I going to die? That point between them. Okay, so December 29th is when I was diagnosed. I didn't have surgery to determine whether it spread through my body until January. So you talk about the battle in the mind from December to January. And me hearing God say, trust me, and me declaring that, it's going to be a node negative, yet battling with the human side of me that's like, but this cancer could really be spreading through my body. What is going to be the outcome? Am I going to lose a breast? Will this man still want me? So it was more of an attack on my self-esteem as a woman.
Right.
Your womanhood gets attacked. The thought of, am I going to have chemo and lose my hair? Now, my doctor recommended radiation, not chemo, and I refused the radiation. But absolutely, yes, it was just an emotional battle to the point where, thank you for giving me the open opportunity to share this part. Every Sunday, and I'm a born again Christian, I believe in God, that's how I live my life. So every Sunday I'm in church and I've got all kinds of titles from the yin yang, but none of that mattered. I was at the altar every Sunday. I was at the altar saying, Lord, it's me again. It's me again, because I'm struggling to believe. I'm struggling to believe I'm going to make it out of this with a breast, with my hair, with what I declared. I'm big and bad declaring no chemo, no this, no that, but I don't really know what your will is. And so those Garden of Gethsemane moments where, like Jesus was kneeling down and crying tears of blood saying, if it be possible, can we do this a different way?
Exactly.
And so my thing with God was, if it be possible, can you please just have it so that what I declared out my mouth can actually happen? We take a risk when we declare. Job 22:28 says, thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be established unto you. However, is that the Lord's will? So I didn't know what the Lord's will was in my journey. And that was the battle in my mind. So every Sunday I'm at the altar, no matter what that word was, the word was coming just for me and my situation. But I was fighting to keep my mind sane.
So
and to that's really what I can share about the emotional battle.
I'm glad that you said that part there, because I think it's so very important for people out there who are walking through this cancer journey to know that because you see what I'm saying, the mind or the emotions can be a roller coaster. It does not mean, this is me, this is just me talking. It does not mean that you don't have any faith because you're running to the altar trying to figure out what's going on. That's
right.
the human side of you. You know what I mean? And God gives us room to lay that burden down because He already knew we were going to have it.
That's
So He
right.
gives you that. It doesn't mean that you aren't a great prophetess. It doesn't mean that you aren't a great. You know, sometimes you need to take a minute and just breathe and say, "Listen, God, yo, you know." So I get that, because it's a plenty of people who are running to the altar and who are having that thought. But listen to this. And sometimes some people are going away from the altar thinking that they have failed God because of that
Right.
thought. So
Yeah.
that's not true. That's not
Right.
true. Because listen, when you go through something like this, I believe it stretches your faith. It stretches your faith. And most times you need to have people who are around you who are going to operate in the same faith realm that you're operating in. That makes sense?
So it's so true, and I want to just share, like, it's a process, because we go from faith to faith and glory to glory, and we say that kind of loosely, but it is very specific to that level. We are going from one place of faith to another place of faith in every encounter that we that God allows us to be a part of. So I remember, right, the Tuesday that I was set to go to Baltimore to get my results. I couldn't travel to my church. My church was in Baltimore. Shout out to Bishop Dennis from Kingdom Worship Center. But my church was in Baltimore, and that Sunday I really couldn't make it there. The Lord led me to a church called the Pentecostals of Dover. Most of you from Delaware know these pastors, and he was preaching about miracles. And not coincidentally, but by divine appointment, a lot of the sermons that were coming at me were about miracles, because that's what I was praying to God about.
Right.
And so that Sunday, he preached on miracles, and I felt I had reached that level of faith that God wanted me at. From all those multiple times I kept running to the altar, it was like, okay, I think I got it, And so as we were leaving, we were dismissing, and he got back on the mic. People were walking out of the church, going to their cars. He said, I just hear the Lord saying somebody's waiting on their miracle this week. He said, by Tuesday, you're going to have your miracle. Tuesday was my appointment with John Hopkins to get my results from the lymph node surgery.
Yeah.
And so I'm just so grateful. I'm not anybody important. None of us are. We are here by grace and handpicked by God, no matter who you are, no matter what your beliefs are. Those of you that are watching, I don't care if you're an atheist, you are handpicked by God for a purpose. And the purpose is for Him to be known through your life. And so whatever day that the enemy presented himself to God, the devil presented himself to God and said, I'm looking for somebody who I can devour. And God said, have you considered my servant? And you just insert your name in that line. We have to trust that God has an outcome. And so when I went on Tuesday in March, it was March 11th, 2011. And she put that paper in my lap and said, node negative.
Yeah.
Oh, it was complete. And so I'm so grateful to be a part of this amazing group of transformational women who all have different stories, all have different journeys. And I want to talk about the guilt portion, because I felt guilty that I didn't have the chemo like my sister next to me who lost her hair. And so now, do I really have a testimony, right, about cancer and being I felt guilty sitting in support groups, and she lost her breast, but I didn't have to give up mine. I felt guilty that she lost her mother to cancer, but I'm still living today. So that's yet another level of the healing process, is that survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
But just that God had to deal with me that, your journey was your journey, their journey is their journey, and it's still all a testament of survivorship.
Exactly. Okay, I'm gonna bring the other women up, but listen, you touched something that I'll come on my show randomly and I'll say this, and in my mind I was thinking, "Shell, that don't even make no sense." But because I experienced it, it's that survivor's guilt.
Right.
Because I have had friends who have had family members who didn't make it,
That's
but
right.
I survived. You know what I mean? And so going around them, you feel this kind of like, I wonder if they're upset with me. I
Can I
wonder if
talk
they're
about it? Yeah.
right, right. And so I did mention it to one that was a pastor, and I shared it with her how I felt. And she said, "Oh no, baby girl," she said, "we love you." But it puts you
Yeah.
in an uncomfortable position. Like this is probably my first year even talking about cancer,
Wow.
even sharing it, and I'll be 5 years November
Mm.
15th, I'll be 5 years.
Yay.
I know, right? And so this month, I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna step out there boldly, and this is my story.
It's awesome.
This is my story. This is what I
Right.
made it through. But that survivor's guilt, that's something that a lot of people don't talk about,
Yeah.
and we'll bring you back up, and we'll let you share more about that. All right. So thank you. You are amazing. Thank you for surviving your story.
Amen. God
All
bless you. Thank
right.
you.
So Nanette, welcome to the platform. Let everybody know that don't know you, who you are, and what it is you do, and all that good stuff.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nanette. I am Michelle A's best friend. I'm a co-host on the Real Talk. Um, I am a born again Christian. I'm a nurse. I'm a plumber. I'm a whatever you want. I name it. I do it.
So wait, so you've been a nurse for how long? You've been a nurse for how long?
Okay, so I have been a nurse for about 4 years, but
Okay.
I've been in the medical field for over 20 years. So
Okay.
I've seen a lot, learned a lot, um, know a lot, and watching my best friend go through this. As I stated last night, some stuff she's been through, I can't imagine even putting my toe in it.
You're
I
from
mean,
a
I just I can't. So I thank God that He chose to allow her to still be in the land of the living.
living.
Oh my God, I'm telling you, I praise God for it. So yeah, I'm a praise and worship leader. I mean, like I told y'all, just name it.
She
I
said,
can
I
hardly
told
do it.
her. So listen, Tish, I love it. Do that again. Oh, so listen, I'm super excited
Listen,
that you guys are joining me tonight. Um, you both of you guys are on the Real Talk. Tish is on Girls Talk. I'm super excited because this is our last show of breast cancer awareness, and I really wanted to make sure that we went out with a bang, and these ladies know that we celebrate them. We celebrate their survival. We
yes,
celebrate them going through this process, and so that's why I wanted you guys to be up here as well. So anything you hear, Nanette, take note on the medical part, and then maybe you can just at the end just share with us and share to people what they need to look for and all that good stuff. All right.
all
So
right.
I'm going to bring Janet. Breathe. Woo, breathe. I'm going to bring her up. So welcome, baby.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
All right. So Tish, go ahead.
So, Janet, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I'm a single mother of four daughters who are all grown now. I have five grandsons. I actually take care of two of my grandchildren. One is autistic and partially blind. And I also take care of my mother who has CHF and OCD. I'm sorry, COPD. So it's kind of it's time consuming. So I rarely have time to myself. But it keeps me busy, keeps me going. I just enjoy being able to still be here to do that.
I said you got a lot on your plate. You got a lot on your plate. Do me a minute. Do me a favor. Breathe in and breathe out. Just do it one more time. Okay, we doing it with you. Do it one more time. Woosa. So listen, we're super excited that you are on this platform. We're super excited about your story, to hear your story. You're beautiful, you're phenomenal, you rock. I'm super excited that you survived your story, that you went through the process. But what I want you to do is I want you to take our platform and I want you to share with us what it is that you had to walk through. You look amazing. You really do. You really do. Listen, and the reason why I say this stuff, that you're a queen and you're beautiful, because sometimes we don't get to hear that when we're going through that process. A lot of stuff we hear is, "Come on, have faith. Come on and fight. Come on and praise your way through." And you looking like, "I don't want to praise my way through. I don't want to fight. I just want to lay here and I want to cry." And it's okay, because God knew that. And one thing I believe, again, this is not scripture. This is just shell. I believe that when this is laid before us, like God already knew. He already knew. He knew that we would be strong enough to go through this process, right? And he knew that at the end that we are going to find revelation. We're going to get closer to him. We're going to know the truths about ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that we're going to learn through this process. I know I did. I learned a whole lot about myself. I learned a whole lot about, I was stubborn, I learned a whole lot about me. I learned I still had unforgiveness in my heart, laying dormant and all that. And I started taking notes. I started taking notes about myself. I don't know whether that was your process, because everybody is different. But for me, I believe that God knew that, and he knows what it takes to push us to our knees and to trust him. So my story might not be like that person's story, but this is my story. So we want you to take a minute. Nanette, is there anything you want to say to her before she starts?
No, I'll wait.
She said, no, I'll wait. All right. So are you ready, sweetheart?
Okay.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. I agree, because I can keep on talking till you good.
Oh no, I'm fine.
All right. I'm bringing you out.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here to be able to share my story with you. I'm not only a one-time cancer survivor, I am a two-time cancer survivor. The first was cervical cancer. Um, the second is breast cancer. I was HER2 positive. I was diagnosed on October 31st, 2008. I think it was kind of, to me, it felt like it was the worst day of my life. The night before, I had, my breasts were really sore and it was tender, and I was thinking it was just like premenstrual stuff. So I got in the shower and I was trying to like just relax and um, rub the heat on them. And I noticed I felt a lump and I didn't feel it on the other side. So I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what is that? So I hurried up and I turned off the water. It felt like a marble size. I ran down the hall. I got on my phone. I called my mom, but she didn't seem to really want to have a conversation. So I hung up with her and I called my best friend, who was like my sister at the time. And I told her, and she's like, "Don't panic. Don't worry. We'll call tomorrow, and we'll find out." So I said, "Okay." So I couldn't sleep all night. I got up first thing in the morning. I called my family doctor. And my family doctor says, "Well, we can't get you in for about 2 weeks." So I'm like, "Oh gosh, I can't do that. I suffer from really bad anxiety, depression, and things like that." So I was like, "Oh, that's not going to work for me." So I called my friend, and she was like, "Well, I looked up this number. It's the Catherine Kander breast cancer. So call that and see if you can get an appointment." So I called, and she was like, "Oh yeah." So she got me an appointment, and I went in the next day, which was Halloween. My daughters were at school. Her daughter actually went with me. Um, and when I got there, they did a mammogram, and they also did a ultrasound. And then she came back in the room and she did a biopsy of the lump, and she was going to send that out. But she came back in. She said, are you here by yourself, or do you have anybody with you? And I said, "Well, I'm here with one of my nieces." So I called her my niece at the time. And she says, "Okay." She said, "Can you go out to the waiting room and get her for me?" So I said, "Okay." So I went out and I got her, and she took us into this little room by ourselves. And she was like, Um, I just want to let you know that you have cancer. You have breast cancer. So I'm thinking to myself, oh gosh, no, because back then I didn't really research breast cancer, but I had some people that I knew who had it, and their daughters had it, and they didn't make it. They passed away. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm gonna die. I survived cervical cancer. I know you didn't bring me this far to just take me out of my daughter's life. So I basically I felt hopeless. I felt mad. Um, sorry, it's a little emotional because I was by
That's
myself.
okay.
So um, I had to tell my daughters. Um, so I picked them up and I took them out Halloweening and stuff, and we got home, and they gave me a book um, on how to tell small children. So I told them, and it was kind of hard because I was basically the only person they had at the time. So they were probably just as scared as I was. But then I figured, no, I know he didn't bring me this far to do this. This is just because he knows that I'm strong. Because he's already prepped me one time before. So I know that I can get through this too. So I let my children be my motivation, my fight. Um, because I didn't want anybody else to raise my kids but me. So um, they went to my chemos and my radiations. I went through surgery. I had a lumpectomy done. I had the lymph nodes moved. Um, I had to have an aggressive type cancer chemo because it was a HER2 positive, and I my body wouldn't respond to the hormone receptors. So I had to do an extra year of IV medications through a Metaport that I had put in. Um, for the medicine to be administered. I also had suffered from neuropathy, which it caused all my um, nerves in my feet to be damaged. So it's kind of hard sometimes in winter time when I'm trying to walk. Um, I don't know. I guess I kind of thought, there was some times where I just felt like, oh, I can't do this no more. I can't do this. But then, looking at my children and looking in their eyes and stuff, and I was like, oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. So even my baby girl, who was my youngest one, she went to every radiation with me. Um, when I lost my hair, it was about probably my third or fourth chemo session. I was thinking I was going to get away with not losing any hair, honestly. But I woke up the next day and I had all this hair on my pillow. So I just kind of like ran my hands through it, and like all these clumps of hair fell out, and I just couldn't remember, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna look like a freak walking around here. I'm not gonna have any hair. But I got in the shower and I was washing my hair. My daughter had came and she said, Mom, I need to use the bathroom. I said, okay. But she heard me crying in the shower because as I'm washing my hair is just falling out in clumps. And she's like, Mom, are you crying? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, yeah, I am. It's because my hair is falling out. She's like, Mom, she said, I don't care if you lose every strand of your hair. She said, as long as you're here with me. So, and that's when that song came out, I Am Not My Hair. So my friend that was going through the little process with me in the beginning, she's like, you know what? Let's make this fun. Let's get a pair of clippers and let's let the girls help you just shave the rest off. So it's just not clumped all over. So I'm like, okay, that sounds good. So she brings the clippers over. She brought me a card and stuff, and she was real supportive. So the girls each took turns and they shaved my head. And it was kind of like, it was fun. Honestly, it was fun. It was hurtful, but it was fun. And then we just went out and we bought scarves and things like that because when you first start your chemo, you can't wear wigs and things like that because your head is very sensitive. So I wore a lot of scarves. But and then it was crazy because I was in a really bad domestic violence relationship prior to finding this all out. And I just prayed for God, to just remove him out of my life at the time, just so, because I just felt myself like getting weaker and weaker. Um, and then it never dawned on me that the reason why he was able to like just remove him out of my life at the time was because I think that if I had to go through the whole battle and the fight that I had, I don't think that I probably wouldn't have made it if I had stayed with him and he stayed in my life, because the stress that he caused so much that I don't think I would have fought as hard as I fought. Um, but yeah, so after I went through everything and got that all done, and my kids were sitting there. Sometimes my daughter had to help me get out of the bathtub because I get in there because the one chemo that I had, it like really really hurt every bone and every muscle in my body. So I would lay in the tub and I would try to relax and so that the pain would go away. And then I would notice that I got in there and I got stuck and I couldn't get out. So my daughter had to come and she had to help me out of the bathtub a lot. So that was kind of like embarrassing and humiliating to me. And it kind of like makes you feel like it takes your womanhood away. And then, so I've been single pretty much ever since because I'm not comfortable with the way my body looks. And it's not that I had a breast removed or anything, but because I had the lump removed and it was a bigger size lump, it's like my breasts are uneven. So it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable to undress in front of people. But I want everybody out there to know, like, technology has really came a long way. And, it's not, nobody said it's going to be an easy battle. It's not. It's going to be a hard one. It's going to test every bit of faith and self awareness or whatever. I'm not sure what I'm looking for to say, but it's going to test you, and it's going to make you feel weak at some times, but you got to kind of like keep laughing, keep positive laughter, like just watch movies, things like that, anything to keep you laughing and keep you going and keep your spirits up. It's kind of funny because my daughters and everybody around me, when I went through cancer and I went through the chemo and the radiation, everybody's like, oh, you're gonna get so sick and da da da. But I never really got sick. I didn't throw up. I did lose like my sense of taste and smell. So sometimes I'd have to, have my daughters kind of like taste and smell the thing. But even though I was going through all that, I still cooked for my kids every night. In pain, even after chemo, I cooked for them every night. I made sure they had their homework done. And I did this by myself. I didn't, like, my friend, she started off the journey with me. But then she ended up, like, by December, she just dropped off. She's no longer my friend anymore. She just stopped talking to me like I did something wrong. I could never figure it out. But I just said, okay, well, it's okay, because, God gave me 4 daughters for a reason. So, and they're going to be my motivation. So my oldest daughter, she gave me a run for my money all the time. She the school called me constantly, but, she stressed me out. But I don't know. They all would tease me. They'd be like, even my lawyer, she said, hey, Janet, she said, it's weird. She said, because you're the only person. She said, don't take this the wrong way. She said, but you're the only person I've ever known that ever went through chemo and cancer and things and gained weight. She was like, most people get skinny and small or frail. She was like, but you actually got fat. And she was like, no, I mean that in a good way. So I'm like, okay. But yeah, I started feeling a little self-conscious, but and if I could go through it again, I would, just because it's really taught me a lot about myself. It's taught me that, I'm a strong woman. I can make it through things, and it's helped me to think like, okay, well, if something that I come up against that seems like it's hard for me, I'll be like, you know what, girl, you fought breast cancer, or you battled it, you won, you came out of it. This is a little anthill. So yeah, I just want everybody to know, like, technology, like I said, it really came a long way, and there's so much out there. I mean, cancer does not have to be a death sentence. It doesn't. And yeah, so that's pretty much my story.
Super excited. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing your truth, your story with us. Thank you for trusting us. Listen, you said so much amazing stuff, especially, guys. Listen, when she started talking about her kids, it was as if now Your kids have become your strength or your shoulder to lean on. And that's good. That's good, because like a sickness like that will either cause your kids or the people the closest to you to run the opposite way, because sometimes people can't handle it. Sometimes people don't know what to say. And sometimes like people just they just don't know. Like I said, I've lost a lot of friends along the way, but then I've also gained people in a journey. Like the people who you thought was going to be there are the ones who weren't there, but then the people who you thought weren't going to be there was the ones that was there. So I get it. We live and we learn. Like I said, I don't hold it against them because they weren't strong enough to go through it. You know, some people don't like to see the people who they have seen all their life be strong now are weak. And some people just can't handle that. But that's okay. All right, Tish, Nanette, anything you guys want to ask her before we bring the next person up? Listen, the
I don't
next
want to
person
ask her
keep rocking.
anything. I just want to I just want to applaud you because for you to cook, I don't even like to cook a night, but for you to go through chemo and radiation and cook every night for your children, that is amazing. And listen, sis, you're
Yeah.
not the only one that gained weight that went through chemo and radiation. Look, she's at the top of my screen. I don't know where she on yours.
And
So you
listen,
got a partner.
I wanted to say that because I went from 92 pounds. You got to remember I had cancer 4 times, 92 pounds. And when as soon as they said that, you know, I didn't have cancer anymore, it might have been just a few months after that, I started gaining weight. Like I weigh 198. Uh, I'm like, okay, God, I get it. Thank you. I appreciate it, but I get it. We can stop here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Oh,
she
and I have
said,
one more thing to add.
okay.
My daughters, because the type of cancer that I had, they said it was hereditary, but I was the very first one in my family to ever get diagnosed with it. So my daughters, because of the type, had a 50% chance each of them of getting the same kind or a different kind of breast cancer. But when
Wow.
I had my BC, BRAC, whatever that, the genetic testing done,
Yeah.
yeah, it came back that they wasn't going to be carriers.
Thank God. Thank
So
God.
yeah.
Thank God. Thank God. Um, I wrote down a couple things. Anything else you guys want to ask her before we bring up our next person, or you
I
want to
was
wait?
I was gonna say, where did she get that inner strength from? But she pulled that thing all the way from the bottom, y'all. I was in this room like, oh my God. She cooked, and then when her friend left, she left because she couldn't handle you, honey.
No, not everybody is meant to go
She
through
could not
certain things
handle
in your
you,
life with
sis. You are amazing. I
Yeah.
honor you on tonight. You pulled from the muscle, wherever that is.
you. It was
God
God, because
Almighty.
trust me, it was God and my daughters. It was them. I give it all to them. I mean, without them, I probably would not have made it. I would have just gave up. But they were
So
my
let me ask you this real quick. Do you think that there is still a little bit more residue? I know you don't have cancer anymore, but because of your process, do you think there's still some residue of healing emotionally that may still need to be taking place?
Yep, yep. And I'm working through that. Because it's like it's a lot of different things that I went through at the time. It wasn't just the battle that I was doing with the breast cancer. It's a battle in my mind and mentally, emotionally, with the domestic violence as well.
Got you. Well, thank you for surviving. You rock. You are amazing. I want to say this too, that every woman almost that has been on the show has made us aware that just because you don't have cancer at this particular moment does not mean that your process is over, because a lot of women are either still taking medication or some women are going through mentally, emotionally. You know, some people are going and shouting and preaching, and I praise dance. But in those dark moments, I still had those moments that I had to stop, because I was like, well, yo, like she said earlier, God, why you pick me? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Don't you think I done been through enough? I done been homeless. I done been raped. I done been molested. I mean, so I done lost my child, and you chose for this. But God knows what he's doing and he doesn't make mistakes. And a lot of times we are used as examples for someone else because they can look at your life, they heard your story on today and been like, wow, God kept her. If he kept her, he can keep me. That's what this is all about. Like even what you went through, it's ministry. You became a prophet for someone else to watch and to see. So I thank you for surviving your story.
Yes, thank you guys for having me here. Thank you, Michelle, for surviving yours.
No problem. I
And
love
all the other
you.
cancer survivors out there, thank you. I mean,
We'll bring you right back.
we
I'm
gotta
gonna
get
bring you.
together and come together and just know that it's gonna be okay.
I'm gonna bring you back up because I want you to give a positive message to those other women who are going through. So we're gonna bring up our next person. Thank you. Just wait in patient in the waiting room, and we'll bring you right back up.
All right, thank you.
Oops. Sorry about that. What am I doing over here? Yeah, I'm fumbling. Sorry. Hold on. Oh God. What is going on? Okay, so we can bring the next person up, all right? Because the hour is definitely getting late. Hey, beautiful. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
You're good. So, are you ready now? I told you would be ready.
Yes, I hope
She
so.
like, I'm still nervous. I don't care what you
Yes.
say. So, just let everybody know who you are and where you're from.
Hi, everyone. My name is Taikisha Camper, and I am from Cambridge, Maryland. I'm born and raised.
Okay, so what is it that you do? What actually do you do? See, listen,
Um,
I think we got to break her down a little bit, ask her some questions and stuff.
yeah. Well, I work at Shore Up Head Start. I am a family service worker there. I've been there for 15 years, pretty much working with children and families.
Wow, honey, that's anointed right there because I don't do kids like that. So Nanette and Tish, is there anything you guys want to say to her before she starts?
We ready to hear her amazing story, Shell. Ready.
Okay. All right, sis. So I'm going to give you my platform. You can share your story, share your truth, transparent. And as you're sharing it, just remember it's someone else that's out there that's listening to you, and you could be the one that could trigger something positive in them. All right. I'm going to bring you to the platform.
All right. Hi, everyone. Like I said, my name is Taikisha Camper, and pretty much for my breast cancer, I found it on my own by doing. Actually, it started out as a bruise. Mine started out as a bruise on the side on my right breast. It was a bruise. It was tender. I got in the shower. I found something that just wasn't feeling right within the bruise, like up from the bruise. So I guess being a woman, we sometimes, put things aside and be like, no, it's nothing. So you kind of like go on about your business or your day and you kind of put it to the side. But for me, like it was always still there. Like I would be sitting to my desk at work, supposed to be doing work, and I could just put my hand like right on it. Every time it was like no feeling for it, like my hands went right to the spot. So even after just dealing with it by myself, I believe it was probably like around Thanksgiving time. Me and my sister, we was together, we was cooking in the kitchen, and I just shared with her that I found, something on my breast. I said, it's like a bruise. I said, I know I didn't I don't remember bumping into anything. I know nobody didn't hit me, in the chest or anything like that. And I just don't know what it was. And she's like, you need to get that checked out. And I'm like, yeah, okay. After a while, the bruising had went away, but the soreness and the lump was still there, like the area that I was feeling was still there. So eventually I did call the doctor, and the doctor kind of felt, and she was like, yeah, it's something there. We're going to go ahead and get you to get it checked out. I went over to the breast center. They kind of gave me a sonogram of it. And then they was like, well, we need you to get a biopsy. And while you're getting a biopsy, we're going to just go ahead and put an indicator in there so we can know where the area is. Mind you, this was probably around about the end of November that I got this done. So after that, pretty much was the waiting. I didn't really share with a lot of people about the weight of everything until I got the diagnosis. One day I was at work. It was probably like 3 o'clock or so, and on the phone, the doctor called me and told me that I had cancer. They did find that the biopsy showed that I had cancer. Like, everything went through me. Like, I didn't know whether to cry. I didn't know if I wanted to pass out. I didn't know if I wanted to throw up. I was just like all over the place. And so she was like, hello, Miss Camper, are you still there? I had put the phone down. I ran and I got my supervisor, and I just pulled her to my office, and I was just pointing at my phone. She was like, what? So I was like, pick up the phone. And the woman was like, I need to talk back to her. I was like, no, just tell her to tell you what she just said to me, because I know I'm not hearing her right. And she was like, so she was like, do I have permission to tell her? I was like, yes, just please tell her, and she'll tell me what you said. So she was like, I guess the doctor told her, and I seen my supervisor just hold her mouth. She just held her mouth, and she was like, okay. And she was like, you need to tell her that she needs to give us a call back. So tomorrow, because we're going to need to set her up an appointment. After that, I got my supervisor. She put my phone down, and she just like hugged me, and she prayed for me, and she told me, that everything was going to be okay. I was like, well, did I hear her right? Did she say, I have cancer? And she was like, Nikki, yes, because that's my nickname. Everybody calls me Nikki. She was like, Nikki, yes, that's what she says. She said, but God has, the final answer, and honey, you're going to be fine. You're young, you're strong. You're young, you're strong, you're going to be fine. So I pretty much left from work, took a ride, and I did try to call my sister, but I don't remember if I got an answer or not. But I did go to a very good friend of mine, Tawanda Cropper Green, and I went to her house, and her now husband was there, and I was like, I need to talk to you. And we went upstairs, and I just broke down and started crying. She was like, oh my God, what? I was like, I have cancer. And she just like hugged me, and she was like, oh my God. And she was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, no, I got a call. I was like, I need you to go with me to tell my sister. So we went over to tell my sister together. And it was like, as soon as she opened the door, and she was like, what? What's going on? And we went in, I went upstairs, and it was like I could not pull myself to say it again to her. And of course, my friend, she couldn't even say it either. And she was just like shaking her head, and she was holding her stomach. And I just broke down, and I told my sister, I have cancer. And, together, one thing I can say is that my sister was my ride or die. She was there with me for 5 months of chemo that I went through. She was, because during my chemo time, I could not drive. The medications and stuff that they had me on, it was no way in the world I would have been able to drive. They had me on Benadryl, and I guess you could call me a lightweight, but Benadryl makes me sleepy. I cannot do Benadryl, so that was one of my medications that I had to take prior to chemo, which I took like 9 medications prior to chemo for nausea, everything you can imagine, upset stomach, my nerves, everything, to keep me calm, doing everything. One thing that I did forget, one of the things, like I said, my sister was with me, and if it wasn't for her, a lot of the things that the doctors are saying to you in the beginning, you will not remember. Like, it's like you hear them, but it's all you saying is, "Oh my God, I got cancer." That's all you know is, "I got cancer." So you're not hearing them saying that you're going to be okay, or it's going to be okay, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. One of my things that stuck out to me was the fact that one of the nurses that was in the room with me, she said, if I had, she said, "You're going to be fine." She said, I don't tell people this. She said, "I probably shouldn't." She said, "But if I had to give someone cancer," she said, "your cancer would be the type that I would give to somebody." So I'm looking at her like, do I get a party or something now? Like, what in the world? Like, you would give them my type? She was like, because my type, which is the HER2 positive, there was a lot of medical things that could be done, to help you survive. And for me, it was a grade 2 cancer, and it was in my ducts. I guess they call it the ducts or something like that. And all my stuff that goes with the cancer, everything was positive. And I did not have the gene. I am the first person in my family history, as far as I know, to have breast cancer. I am adopted, so it's things in my on my mother's side that we do not know unless it's amongst the children. But outside of my mother, there's a lot of things that we do not know. So that is one thing. Other than that, like I can say, I did the 5 months of chemo. I did the radiation. Chemo was okay for me at times, but radiation was the worst. I thought I was going to quit. It was time where I was like, I'm not even going no more. I had like burns, like my whole right side underneath my arm was burnt. I couldn't put on a bra. I had to call out from work where my skin was gone. Like, I looked like I had 3rd-degree burns, and I always felt like I had a burning sensation to my body at all times. I did chemo from February until July, and then July until September, I did radiation. So radiation, it's already hot outside because I started in July, didn't finish until September. So the excess, you're already hot, it's already sweating, and then you got this burning sensation that's on your body at all times. And I was able to show, my friend and her mother, my radiation, and like the scars from the radiation in the skin just peeling and just lifting off of your body, just like nothing. To see their face when they looked at it was like, yeah, it was awful. I thought I was gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go back because this is too much for me. And one day the nurse called me and she was like, "Nikki, are you coming? Because we're waiting for you." I was like, "Yeah, I'm on the way," like showing them like mad attitude, like I'm at the traffic light, up near your office. I'm gonna be there. And she was like, "Okay, we was just checking on you because we know yesterday you really had in your face like you was not coming back. This was enough for you." And like anybody that has been through it, radiation is every day. My radiation was every day besides weekends. And that was my like downtime. As far as like the chemo, I did okay. I had times where, I would be very, very sleepy at the time. My daughter was 10 years old. I had a son who was in the military. He was 23. And I had a niece who I was raising. And at that time, she was 19. But at the time, I only had my 10-year-old in the house. So it would be times where I would come home from chemo. My sister would drop me off. She'd be like, "Are you all right?" And, with somebody being with you all day, it was times where my chemo was 6 hours, 8 hours, or they had to stop my treatment because I was feeling hot or flushed, or I was feeling sick. So they had to stop it or slow it down or give me more fluid. So therefore I would be there even longer. So once I got finished with my chemo, I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, cook, clean, or whatever. That was not happening. I would lay down on the couch when I wake up. All I could hear my daughter saying was like, "Mom, are you going to get up? Mommy, are you going to get up?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm going to get up. Just give me a little bit more time." And when I would get up, the house would be pitch black, where it was light when I went to sleep, but it was dark, pitch black. And I would find her, laid next to me where she hadn't eaten, or, because I just wasn't able to get up. And just didn't get up because I was so tired and just exhausted, from that day of chemo. But besides that, like me telling my friends and family close was one thing, but me telling my son, who at the time was away in the Army, and we kept it from him because he was away, and we told him when he came home for Christmas, which I was diagnosed December the 2nd, 2016 at the age of 39, and I had surgery December the 5th of 2016. So everything went so fast. I felt like I was on a roller coaster at all times because everything was going so fast for me. So when my son came home, which was after my surgery and all of that, like sitting down, telling your son, someone that stands taller than you, and you're telling him that you have cancer, and you see your son, who stands taller than you, drop to his knees and beg, for you to be okay, was like my breaking point in my whole situation. And trying to, making sure my children understood that, I was going to fight and that I was going to make it. I was in church. Well, I'll say I was going to church. Being in church and going to church is two different things. But for me, I did everything the doctor asked me or told me and still do, because my faith I have faith in God, but my faith at that time and still is not, to the utmost. So therefore, I did whatever treatment they put out to me to do. And I do feel that I have still have a good support team of my sister, my friend, friends and family. I've even gained, friends. Emily, I know she's watching. She's one of my cheerleaders. Me and her was talking. We would always be, conversating stuff. But once she got diagnosed, really brought me and her a little bit more closer. And even before I found out she was, she had it, she was being, like a cheerleader for me and letting me know she was praying for me and I was in her prayers, and all that kind of stuff. So I really don't know, what else to say. Um, it's just a lot, and it continues to be, a lot. As far as financial, seeing bills come in 17, $1,000, like your insurance is good until something like that. You're like, oh, I got some good insurance until something like that comes up. You're like, well, what in the world? Where is my money? So, I mean, things went to collections. But it is what it is. And my thing I always say is I'm still here.
Yeah, that's what matters the most. Listen, I just want to say we celebrate you and thank you for surviving. You are amazing. Your story is amazing. Like, I was just sitting there listening to you when you said you shared it with your son. I believe I probably would have fell apart too.
Mhm.
That part was so touching to me, but you made it through. Like the strength that you have on the
Thank you.
inside, you rock. You listen, and it makes me want to adjust my crown because I'm complaining about some things that I'm going through. And just hearing your story, I just thank you for surviving. And I'm glad you shared with us
Yes.
about the financial part of it. In the beginning of mine, I didn't have any medical
Wow.
stuff came out of my pocket, and so I'm still paying, and I'm still owing. You know what I mean? And you just make it through. You do what it do. God opens doors, and the doors He don't open, you just set it
Yeah.
to a side and keep on going with life. You don't have time to sit and try to figure out how am I going to do this, how I'm going to do that. You really don't,
Mhm.
because you're walking out survival. So again, I want to say thank you to everybody. Tish and Annette, do you have anything to say? What is your name? Taikisha?
Hi, Keisha, you got it right.
Taikisha. Because listen, I'm listening to your story and it was so touching, but I'm amazed by your experience. I'm amazed by your truth. Even when you were sharing about your faith, that's how mine was. My mother said, she had cancer, but the Lord healed her. She didn't have to take chemo. She didn't have to take radiation. I did.
Mhm.
And I had an operation on top of that. And so my mom was like, listen, Shell, if your faith is not as strong as mine, you do what those doctors say.
Mhm.
And your dad will support you every step of the way. Because coming up, we always hear, oh my God, trust in the Lord. The Lord is a healer. He is a healer. He is. And I believe that. And I believe that He anoints some of them doctors to take care of me as well. So thank you for being transparent with that. All right, Tish and Annette.
Um,
Our time has actually slipped past us. So I'm going to let you ask one question.
I'm gonna ask one question, so that's fine. You guys are amazing. I'm so happy to even meet you guys. I'm so thankful that God has brought you here for this purpose, to minister to us, to give us more compassion and more thought of, the next person, what are they going through? Because my little, I ain't, it's my little stuff, like I was going through this morning, my little stuff ain't nothing compared to these things that you guys have been through. Is there any moment that you said, I need to see a psychiatrist? My head is about to explode. Either one of you.
Yes, I
Um,
seen one.
for me, no, I think I had like a good support team, as far as my sister and friends and different things. Um, but it was a lot of times within myself where I thought I was, um, losing, touch within myself, like especially like with my hair falling out. My hair was gone before I went to my second chemo treatment. I rubbed my hair, and it was in my hand. I had to, get it shaved off. I wasn't one of the kind that kind of embraced that and took pictures. Like I didn't want anyone to see me, like that. And like I always felt like ashamed of of it, because I called it a it. Like I thought people looked at me and could tell she's got cancer, you know, or even if I knew they knew, it was like I felt like they looked at me funny or they looked at me different. So, you know, to take pictures with, you know, nothing on my, you know, without my wig or, you know, a hat or something was not for me.
So, I want to applaud every one of you ladies because out of every story that I've heard throughout this whole breast cancer month, each person's story is different. I'm telling you, it's different. It's none the same. You know, some you go through some of the same stuff. So, at any time did you feel like because you had a diagnosis of cancer that your families shied away from you, or did it draw them closer to you guys?
Alicia, are you froze? She's
I was
Um,
going to say the same thing.
yeah, the show is going in and out, and during the next question, everybody got muted. So if she can repeat her question, something to do with family.
Yes. At any time during the process, do you feel like that it pushed your family away, or did it draw them closer to you?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I'd be happy to share.
I think she went out.
My journey, yet I understand that everybody processes. There's a grief process even for those of us that travel through cancer and still are living. There's a grief process I believe that the family goes through as they try to come to grips with the trauma of the diagnosis as well. So I've learned to
Right.
forgive how they handle the diagnosis, because that was tough for me. Certain family members, I'm like, I ain't hear from you. I know my mom told you, you know what? That you could get a little bitter about that. But I realized that that's just as long as they were hearing from my mom, I was okay, you know, that they were with me, you know, from a distance. Can I make a comment about what Michelle said earlier in regards to, like, you know, faith, and her process versus her mom's process, and even kind of all of us on this call? First of all, Nikki, you're such a champion. Jeanette, you're such a champion, and I'm just so inspired, just in the strength of how you share your story. There's so much strength in how you share it. I feel like what
Mhm.
I've learned, just by observing and learning and being around people who've gone through this is, and it's hard to articulate it, but that I don't believe that um, that anybody's outcome, howbeit different from anyone else's, is indicative of their faith. I believe that the outcome and even the process is just indicative of what God's plan is for your life personally. Does that make sense? I mean,
Exactly.
there's people
Exactly.
with a lot of faith that died from this disease. Does that mean they didn't have faith? Right? I mean,
Exactly.
Lazarus died. Okay. Jesus purposely did not come when he knew he was sick, and people were angry. Mary and Martha, they were angry. And Jesus cried. I don't know if he cried because they didn't believe, or he cried because Lazarus died and he was close to him. But at the end of the day, he's telling them, it's good for me
Bye.
not to come right now. I know when I'm supposed to show up. And when I'm supposed to show up is for a specific result, right? So I just want to encourage all of us that whether you went through chemo and lost your hair, whether whatever that journey was for you, All we need is faith the size of a grain of a mustard seed, and we can move a mountain. So I would say the
Exactly.
fact that you got up every day and went to your session, Nikki, that you got up even though you were like, you know what, I'm not going back. But then you went back and finished the process. That is faith. And I want us all to embrace that. I want us to be okay and give ourselves permission to celebrate your journey and your process, and that we all are women of faith, regardless.
Exactly. Ex- Exactly. That's why we decided to put the spotlights on you guys and your story. Because a lot of times, I said it in the last show, people only hear your church testimony and you only hear it in church. So we wanted to just give you guys our platform for you to be very transparent through your process and share your story. For me, in sharing part of my story, because I opened it up in the beginning, I realized that there was still some hurt in the middle of what I went through. There were still some things that I didn't feel comfortable with sharing, and that's okay. I took a note. Shell,
Right.
you work on this. Shell, and somebody asked the question a while ago about a counselor. Yeah, I need to see a counselor. I made it through. I survived it, but I still got some baggage, and that's okay. That's all right. So listen, all right.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
had tons of questions that I wanted to ask, but we're not going to ask because of the lateness of the hour. But I always close my show out with giving you guys my platform and asking you to minister to thousands of people who may be watching, because you guys did an amazing job on sharing your story. Now I want you to be the prophet, the prophetess of the hour. Someone may be out there who is really on an emotional roller coaster and may be in a corner just overloaded with depression because they don't want to tell their family, or they don't want to tell the church, or they don't want to tell the job, and they're walking through this by themselves. So I need you to take the platform and encourage that individual why it's important to make sure that they get help in this. All right, I'm going to start with Janet, Alicia, and Taikisha. So you guys, please just kind of conduce your comments. All right. All right. I'm going to put you up, Janet.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I just if anybody out there is having problems dealing or coping with being told that you have cancer, as I said before during the show, cancer does not have to be a death. A death. What am I trying to say? It doesn't have to mean that you're going to die from it.
A death sentence.
Yeah, some people, it's just a little harder from others, and everybody's walk is going to be different. Everybody handles it differently. Everybody's body reacts differently to the chemo drugs. Some people may have to get chemo, some people may not. They just may need surgery. But my advice to you is just take it as you go. Technology has really, really, really came a long way in the medical field. Um, and just always keep the faith, keep a positive. You just have to remain positive. You can't be always negative, because if you're about to fight a battle that's nobody else's but yours. Somebody else can't tell you how you're going to feel. Somebody else can't tell you, oh, you're not going to get sick from it, because you may get sick from it. You may not get sick from it. Not everybody's walk is the same. Not everybody's body is the same. But the only thing I can say is just kind of like know your body, and just stay positive. Just stay very positive. Don't let negativity take over anything in your mind, your body, or any part of your whole walk that you're going to have to go through with the chemo or radiation or without it. Just stay as positive. Keep a good outlook, and always have, like, the most important thing is to have positive people positive people in your on your side, and to help motivate you, to keep you going. Keep positive people around you.
I'm just going to say what I said to my husband, who has just matriculated through prostate cancer.
Michelle, you're muted.
Am I back?
Okay, I was saying, oh, let's try it again.
Video
All
went
right.
out. Video went out. Sorry about that.
Okay, go ahead.
So I just want to say that what I said to my husband as he went through prostate cancer this last year, you are strong, you are courageous, you will win. And look in the mirror and just to say to yourself who you are. And we come out of this stronger, we come out of this better.
Okay. Amazing. All right, sis, you got the floor.
I guess I'll just piggyback off everybody else pretty much, because that's what I had written down too. Pretty much just staying positive against your fight, because everybody's fight is different. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. Making sure that you have positive go-to people. You may have different people who can help you in different ways throughout your stages of, your process. You may have people that's willing, to help, with cooking, more than they may be able to give you an encouraging word. So just take what you need from those people around you and put it together and make it work for you and your fight in your battle, towards whatever type of cancer that you may be going through.
All right. Okay, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want to
Yeah.
thank you guys for joining. Again, your stories was amazing. I'm gonna close out this way. I'm gonna bring Tish. Tish, I'm gonna highlight you, and I want you, just like they did, I want you to share, and then I'm gonna let Nanette share. Nanette, you close us out in prayer. Again, thank you guys. I will reach out to you after all of this is over with. All right, Tish, I'm gonna bring you up. Unmute yourself.
So we thank everyone on tonight for sharing. We love these guys so much. Um, I would say don't ignore the signs. Don't ignore the something's hurting. Don't ignore I feel funny. Go get tested. As you heard some of the stories, they felt the lump. They went to the doctor. And when you go, please take someone with you. It's very important because one of the young ladies said, I heard that C word, or I couldn't find myself saying it again. It's important to have someone with you. I would just say, ladies, get tested, get your mammograms done. It's very important that we keep ourselves healthy spiritually, physically, even financially. Um, we thank you guys for viewing our show. We love you so much. Continue to support Keeping It 100. We thank God for each and every survivor. We thank God for Michelle, her survivor, her story. We thank her for her book. She also has a book, guys. Um, read her story. Read her story. We love you all. Continue to be blessed. Good night.
I'm just gonna say, as Tish says, please, please, I beg you, don't ignore the signs. Um, get your yearly mammogram. Women is very, very important because we as women tend to sometimes put stuff off as, oh, that's just this or that's just that. Our body has a way of telling us when something's wrong. So believe your body when it tells you that something is wrong. And as everyone says, make sure you have a support system. It will help you get through it
Mhm.
a lot easier. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, that the road will be easy, but it will help you get through it easier when you have a good support system. Positive people. Anybody negative, close them out. They can get mad or whatever. This journey will be about
That's
you, your family, and your fight. So please
good.
take heed.
That's good. All right, Nanette, I want you to lead us out in prayer. And for us that are on here, always make sure that you cover someone else who you know is going through, or you cover that person even when they came out, because everybody's after effect is different. Not everybody is as strong as you. Some people are cancer free, but emotionally bound
Yes.
still. All right. So Nanette, we want you to go ahead and lead us out. As y'all can say, see, I'm exhausted. I am tired right now. I am tired right now, but just go ahead and lead us out in prayer. And thank you guys. Thank you everybody that has joined the whole entire month. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to see if I can do up a little video, and by the end of, well, tomorrow's Friday, I'm going to have it and I'm going to put it up. All right. So Nanette, go ahead.
Lord, we come to you thanking you and praising you for each life that has been presented here today, throughout this month, throughout the world. God, I ask that you cover each one of them with your blood. I ask that you would take this journey with them, God, even after the diagnosis is over, even after the chemo is over, even after the radiation is over. God, I ask that you would be with them, protect them, and camp your angels around about them, God, to make this process go easier, God. God, I ask that you go with them each step of the way, God. Let them allow the hands that are there to help them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. You guys have an amazing night. Do it on purpose. Love y'all.
You guys too.
Love you. Good night.
Love y'all. Nice to meet you
Love you
guys.
guys.
All right. So everybody's logging off.